Hello and welcome to another mini training. So thank you for joining me today. Today's session is about simplifying your SEO for your website. So welcome if you're joining live or if you're watching the recording later. Just to introduce myself to those of you who don't know me yet, I'm Fabi, I'm a virtual assistant and systems expert, and I support female business owners put the right systems in place to work with more ease. So there's so many things to juggle in our business, so systems and tech can often help us to actually put those sustainable foundations in place. And one of those things is our website and SEO, and that's why today's session is about simplifying SEO for your website. Really just a session to give a little bit more of an overview, and we're not going too deeply into it, but just a bit of an overview and better understanding of it. Because I know that SEO can sound really scary and overwhelming, and that's often the reason why we don't deal with it at all. So we kind of leave it on the side, but actually it could do so much for us. And I know I did the same thing. I thought it was this, massive construct. Sounded really complicated, so I never really wanted to deal with it until I took the time to learn a little bit more about it, breaking it down, and actually realizing that it doesn't need to be complicated. We can simplify it. We can make it much simpler for ourselves. But a big part of that is just understanding it a little bit better. So that's why I wanted to give a little bit of an overview to just take a little bit of that fear so we can take small steps to deal with it. So what does SEO even stand for? It's search engine optimization, so anything like Google, optimizing your ranking on Google basically. So the better your website is kind of laid out and answers questions, and I get into that in a moment, the higher it will rank on Google or search engines in general, which will in return help you to find more clients more organically. Because you would just pop up higher if somebody searches for something. Let's say coaching or yoga in, London might be a bit big, but let's go for Brighton. So, in that area you want to rank really high, but it doesn't just apply to businesses locally, but just in general, you want to appear further up, because when you search for something, you don't want to scroll down for ages to find somebody. You kind of go for the ones that pop up quite early in your search. So that already kind of explains why we need it, because it helps that kind of organic traffic to bring people to your website to see what you do and to help you to attract the right clients. So the better we kind of optimize our website, the better we rank, and also find the right clients that match what you do. So you can see how that's quite useful, and especially what I see a lot is that we don't necessarily constantly want to be on social media. So having an optimized website can be really helpful, because that's another way of just attracting new clients. So basically what we do with search engine optimization is what search engines, Google, are trying to do is give people that search for something the best results. So want to match it in the perfect way to give the best results to answer people's questions. And that's basically what your website's job is. Your website wants to answer your clients' most relevant questions. And understanding that for myself made a huge difference, because it also changes the way we approach our website and what we share on there. So your website isn't necessarily always just about kind of displaying about you and your experience and all these kind of things, which is still important because your clients want to get to know you. But mostly it's about answering your clients' questions in the best possible way, so that'll appear on Google when they Google for something. So your website needs to give those answers to the questions that your potential clients might be asking on Google. So it might be a good idea to just think about what would your ideal clients be Googling and searching for. And I think it's a good way of kind of going mentally, kind of looking a little bit at the journey they'd be going through. What would they actually be asking for? And thinking a little bit about those questions. And then ultimately on our website, we want to have those answers on there. So again, if they're Googling, let's stick with the yoga example because that's what I used to do. It's yoga poses to feel more relaxed. So maybe having some sections where you talk a little bit, if that's what you do, if you're teaching restorative yoga, let's say, or you're helping clients to rest, having sections or having blog posts or having something that kind of answers those questions. And with that as well, we can always do some keyword research. So kind of looking at those questions that might be asked and answering them. But also looking at keywords, so doing some keyword research on what are people looking for, what are kind of the terms that people would be Googling, that be searching, and we want to integrate them into our website in a natural way, so not just having like random words pop up, but actually integrating those keywords that are searched for a lot into our website. So again, it shows Google that it's relevant, that what you're sharing is the match for what they're searching for. And those keywords are matching, so again, you know, your website pages are answering those questions. And just a couple more things that you can, just getting my notes so I don't forget anything. Some simple ways on really integrating that are, and there's more obviously, but we can start with a few small things, are, for example, headings. When I learned about that, that's really, you know, it's a really easy way to integrate. So the different heading sizes actually have importance as well for Google, because it shows Google what is the most important thing. So whatever is kind of written in heading 1 shows Google, okay, that's the most important thing on this page. This is answering keywords, questions. So in heading 1, we want to, you know, put in things that will answer that. So again, it might be the area that you're working in. That might be, you know, that specific kind of topic, or who you support. Is it like female business owners, for example, or restorative yoga in Sussex? Well, you want to go more detailed than Sussex, but you know, having those kind of headings with the keywords, but in a way that makes sense, because you know it needs to read nicely for your clients as well. But that's a really simple way to already integrate that. Then again, your texts, the content that you write on your website, answering your clients' questions. So again, it's not necessarily just about displaying your experience, which is equally important, but maybe more on the about section, but ultimately more giving your clients, your potential clients, relevant content, answering those questions that I'll be looking for, and having that kind of context in there as well. So it's giving that valuable content for your clients, which works for your clients, plus SEO answering those questions. Then usually there's some options for SEO descriptions for your pages, something we hardly ever do, but having descriptions for your pages, there's usually some form of section where you can do that. In Squarespace it's really simple to do, but I think most websites have that option somewhere. So having an extra SEO description, and just kind of describing a little bit the services that you're talking about on that page. So you do it usually for each page, what those pages are about. You can naturally integrate some more keywords, the areas that you work in, the kind of services you offer, but in like a descriptive text. So that's usually something as well that then pops up on Google when people look for it. And then last kind of aspect here to share, making each page relevant for search. So giving each page a bit more of a purpose. So we don't have lots of random things on there, but actually each kind of page having one offering on it, having a dedicated purpose. Also really important. And ultimately sharing relevant content. I think that's the most important thing you can take away from this. Sharing relevant content on your website, again, that answers your potential clients' questions, but it shows Google that you share valuable content, that you are answering your potential, those search engine questions. Therefore, you're relevant, and if they consider you relevant, you rank higher on Google. So it's kind of being relevant, being informative, being of value is really important for Google because it kind of builds that trust. Also keeps people longer on your website, which again builds trust for Google. So really sharing lots of valuable content. And ultimately I really had to understand that as well, because often we create our website, we really want to get it off our to-do list, and it's this one and duster thing, we don't have to deal with it anymore. But actually it's really important to continuously update your website, not in a sense for, the sake of it, but actually just making sure that content is relevant, maybe adding resources to it, videos, blog posts, really important. Because again, it keeps your website up to date, so it's not like something you've done 3 or 4 years ago, never touched again, and then it just doesn't seem very relevant to Google. So keep updating it with valuable content, adding blog posts. Blog posts are really great. Videos, any other resources, any kind of little things you can share. Maybe making sure that your content is actually relevant. Is it the up-to-date offerings that you're sharing? Is it up-to-date dates for your offerings? Or is there still dates from events on there from like 3 years ago? So really making sure it's up to date in that sense, not that sense of just updating your website for the sake of it. We don't want to do that. But I think understanding that a website is a little bit like social media, even though I know you often want to move away from social media and not think about it that way. But it actually helped me really understand to treat my website a little bit differently. It's not this once done and dusted kind of thing, but actually something that we continuously have to update, to share, and that will help Google understand that it is more relevant, that it's up to date, and that it's relevant for clients. Because I think if we always connect back to that purpose of search engines, is to find the best results for people searchers. And that's our job with our website. We want to be the best result for somebody's search, and therefore answer the best questions, have the best keywords in there, be really relevant. So, of course, that topic can be much, much bigger. There's so much more to it. But I hope that gave you a good little first overview, especially if SEO is just something you've been putting away, not wanting to deal with. Hopefully that gave you a little bit of a first dip your toes in, maybe a few small first steps you can take and a few small changes that you can make, even if it's just something like changing the headers, or even just thinking about a few of those kind of questions that your potential clients would be searching. What would they be looking for? And making sure that your website has a few sections in there that kind of answers that. Okay, so this brings me to the end of today's session. I hope there was some useful things in there for you. As always, let me know in the comments any insights you have, what stood out most for you, what will you be implementing? I'd love to know. And thank you as always for joining me, if you joined me live or watching the recording. And I will see you again soon for another mini training.